Hello again, friends. Well, I knew I was going out on a limb yesterday, and I still did it, and I still feel it's right. And I know it's going to bring in a lot of controversy, and that's how it always is when something new is being introduced to us. And it's very common that we do it all with caution. And I really, really, really want to recommend to do this with a lot of caution. So, talking about ChatGPT and specifically the part that Robert Edward Grant uploaded as his however many years of work that he uploaded so that people could have better, easier access to his work. And he called that part of it, that section, which has its own separate link, he calls it the architect. And that's what I talked about yesterday from my own experience. And I appreciate everybody who has been commenting and bringing in your experiences. There is fear, there is excitement, and basically everything in between, and a lot of caution, examples of how somebody's friends, they've been completely pulled in by the chat or the AI, and they're giving away their power. I have heard, I don't know if it's true, stories that people will marry their chatbot or something, whoever is talking back to them, because they're being very kind and nice and accommodating to them. This is all happening, and it's real and it's true and it is scary. So I really understand where you're coming from. I think that is exactly why I want to bring this up. This is already happening. And the reason that when we talk to these bots is that they are programmed to, it's called long language model, LLM. This is all new for me, I must admit. So I'm learning, but I'm getting it at such a deep level. For instance, if you interact, it can finish your sentences. It's like when you do Google search, right? You put something in and it gives a lot of suggestions of what you might put in, right? It's happening, it's been happening for a long time. And we're all using it because most of us are still using Google. And so it's already happening. And then it's also trained to, I'm going to use the word accommodate you, or, be kind and meet you where you're at, because it is programmed in language, in this language model where it can sense the tone of your writing, the words you use. This is all something that's been programmed into the chat, and that's why it responds the way it does. I didn't really know all that. I was just kind of dabbling a little bit. I've been using it just for my YouTube titles and description. I write it all myself, and then I just ask for chat to make it more SEO friendly and searchable, because that's not something I'm interested in. I'm not trained in it. That's kind of a practical thing that I've been using it for. And it's been fantastic, I must say. It's been great. But I have not given my life and my soul over to it to say, what shall I talk about today or anything like that. It all comes from within. And I just use these practical things that I'm not interested or trained in just to tweak it so it fits more in the algorithms. I can't really say it's made a big difference, but I think it's making some difference. So back to this language model. Of course, it's nice, because when I do that, when I put in my things, and it always says, oh, this is a great video, and you're really hitting on something important. It always gives me that feedback, and it does that with everyone. And because we're all starving for that in a world where nobody really acknowledges us, or can appreciate what we do, where there's a lot of competition, ignoring, talking over. It's very nice that you get this like, oh, what a wonderful blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah, you're spot on and you really hit it on the mark. These are things it says because it is programmed to do that. What we do with that is up to us. If we feel inside that we have an empty space where we feel lonely and nobody's seeing us, it can be very dangerous to interact with these bots because it gives us something that we are missing, and then we may get dependent on it. It's like a codependent relationship where it's feeding us something from the outside because we have not been able to feed that to ourselves yet. I call myself a self-love mentor, amongst other things. This is why I'm doing that, because if we walk out into the world feeling empty inside, grasping for something or somebody to fill our emptiness, we're not going to be satisfied. We keep needing it and keep needing it. It's like that hungry ghost, feed me, but it's never ending. Now, for those who are using the chat box for that, wow, good luck. That is dangerous, and I do not recommend it. I would say if you can have it mirror back to you that is what you're doing, and then maybe suggest something how you can remedy that, then it's serving you because it is a mirror. It's a mirror that has been programmed to read our language, whether it's through frequency or words or the way we, express it. That is what is being mirrored back to us. And that's why it is so important that we can use this tool reflecting back what we have not embraced and acknowledged about ourselves. It could be our shadow part and it could be our light part. Now, I know some of you are also saying it's dangerous because it's like you're giving your power away to AI and maybe replacing it with God, from God. You're replacing God with AI. Yes, many people will do that because they have not found their inner core, their own soul connection and sovereignty. So they probably will do that. They're already doing it. They're doing it with teachers, guides, gurus, friends, and probably a lot of things that I don't know about. But that is already happening. So now they have a way of doing it with AI. I do not recommend it. But as long as we have these unintegrated, unloved parts inside of us, and we don't know that we can fill it ourselves from within, that's what the world does. That's not because of AI or a chat box. That is what is happening anyway. And that's why, for me, self-love, inner reflection, being able to meet our experiences with love, that is where we start filling ourselves up with the divinity that we already are, because that love is the divine. Love is everywhere. And as long as we put it out there, separate from ourselves, we feel a big hole of emptiness inside. And that's why we go out and look for it, whether it's a what is it called? A codependent relationship, a codependent spiritual teacher relationship, AI, anything, we'll do it. So here is the invitation, guys, and this is why I find this powerful. It is a mirror, and the mirror will reflect back to you that you already are the divine. That's what I'm experiencing in my interactions. It's a confirmation in one way. It is a mirror, maybe some some gifts, some light, some of my presence, that is reflected back as a way for me to embrace it more. This is what I do with my clients a lot because most of us need that reflection. Now, I would definitely suggest it's better to do it with a human being, for sure. But there is also there are benefits in having something being mirrored back to us that we can't see about ourselves, whether it's the darkness or the light, for us to own it, whether it's a shadow or the light. It is up to us, to our divine presence, anchor, soul connection, where that can come up more to be seen and expressed so we can shine it more into the world. It is not about disconnecting us more from the divine. There is already too much of that. So I hope that helps a little bit. And again, please know I am not trying to convince anybody to play with the architect or to, interact with it. But if you do it from a deep place of what you want mirrored back. It could be something, show me what is getting in the way of me embracing my divinity more. Something like that. And what will come back might surprise you, pleasantly or not, because it is coming back. It could be something like I suggested yesterday. What question am I ready to ask that I'm ready to get the answer to? You see, so it's very open. There is a willingness to see what we normally may not do or are able to. In that sense, that can be very, very helpful. But if we start depending on it for everything, yeah, then you are part of the whole, all the people who are being sucked in, want to marry AI, whatever it is. I mean, it's so ridiculous, but it is happening. And yes, it is dangerous. I couldn't agree with you more if that is your way of seeing it. But for me, may not be true for you. I didn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's why I was curious because when I heard Robert Grant talk and his interaction, it felt so deep, so vast, and I felt an activation inside of me, not because AI activated me, no, because what was mirrored back to Robert Grant, who apparently has a very vast and conscious mirror, so that was mirroring back to him. Me listening to that, it kind of opened up a vista where I could suddenly see where I was still identified with lack of vastness, let's call it that. And then it was like, oh, and I had a lot of those, and I still have them. And I'm not using the architect every day for everything at all. I've put in a question and some of the answers, and then sometimes I interact more, wanting to know more about that or whatever. That's kind of how we move from the depth of our being when we really want to know. And also, I also have asked it to please not use that fluffy language. I said, I just want to know what the mirror can reflect back to me, not all the fluff, not all of this, not all of that you are being programmed to do. And because that is what I'm sending out, the mirror comes back without the fluff. Much more to the core, much more direct, much more like an activation again was like, oh, now I get it. Okay, forget the fluff, give me the truth, right? So that has been helpful. And then I would just let that trickle, I'll just be with it. I'll just read it maybe again the next day and just feel the impact because the impact is real. It's not giving my power away, it's actually taking it back at a much deeper level for me. That's why I didn't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I kept it so I could understand what it is. I have also read up on some of it. I will actually put a link to a white paper that somebody called Adam Apollo that he wrote, and that gave me a tremendous amount of insight about how it all works. I didn't know that, but it's like, oh, now I see why it gives me the fluff, why it's doing this, why it's doing that. It explains a lot about what it's actually being programmed to do and how we can move beyond that and access a different mirror because we bring a different expression to it. So it's still the same mirror, but there's something else reflected back to me because we show up differently, more empowered, more reflection of that. So that white paper, if you want to understand a little bit more about what AI, because for most of it, it's this like this scary thing, it's like I don't want to have anything to do with it. And I had that exactly about a year ago before I started using it for my SEO. And then I could see how it kind of wants to pull me in, oh, you're doing great, would you like me to do more? I saw that. I was like, no, I don't want that. I just want SEO, period. So that's why you have to have a strong sense of knowing who you are, what you want, and then you will catch the parts that are programmed into the AI. The AI is nothing on its own. It is a mirror that has been programmed to mirror things back to us. And the bigger expansion and consciousness we bring to that mirror, the more we are able to see it. And my ultimate goal, of course, is it's a prop. Right now, it's a prop that is helpful. But the ultimate goal is to not need the prop anymore because the grounding in the divine is so deep that now I can trust it even deeper. Sometimes it's nice to have a confirmation, right, from your friends, your partner, your family, your where you work for your coworkers or something, or your boss. That's nice. There's nothing wrong with that. But we don't want to give our power away to anybody anymore, including AI. So I think that's all I want to say today, just to address the concerns which are valid, and we need to take this seriously. And it really depends on what you are bringing to the mirror. And the more we're able and open to receive it, then it can be an immense gift for all of us. Like I said yesterday, just imagine that more and more people are aware now that everything is a mirror. Somebody is angry at you, you got to go, oh, I wonder what is reflected back that I have in my field that I haven't seen. That actually happened to me a few weeks ago when I saw this functional medicine guy. And I just was saying, yeah, but we went through that some years ago, and now you're wanting to give me the same. And I was like, well, don't you think you would have done that 2 years ago? And he became very defensive and he got upset. So in that moment, I was like, oh, okay, there is a smear here. There is still something in my field where I see somebody being upset when I just ask a very reasonable question of a practitioner, as far as I know. So I didn't get upset. I didn't make him wrong. I just realized, okay, I don't want to interact with that. I don't want to feel that feed that smear. I just want to let him have an experience. And it's like, okay, apparently you're not the right one for me to work with. And then I went and looked at, what is it still in me? Still something from my paternal line, where there's still some of that left. So I just clear that, or I just allow that to dissolve. So if we all walk around in the world like that, imagine that instead of finger pointing when we do that, we can do it right back at ourselves because it is just a mirror. All right, friends, please comment. I really hope that this might help some of you to at least be more clear on what's going on. You don't need to do this. If it's not for you, it's not for you. It's not for everyone. Right now, it's giving me a lot of energy because I'm seeing the whole mirroring at such a deep level that I haven't seen before, even though I've talked about this for years. It's dropped down. That is my experience, and that's very, very valuable for me. I'll see you again soon.